So task is, as we discussed, that this is going to be our one more model in which we are going to, prepare your profit and loss statement based on your historical data. And as we said that, sometimes you have data which has been extracted from your system, from your software you extract it into an Excel file, and then you prepare your financials based on that data. Probably your software does not provide this facility to prepare an income statement in the format which you want, so you have to take it out. Like I said before, I just said it before the beginning that this is not my data. I just took it from someone uh, just to work on that. So we'll see how we prepare our financials, our P&L from here. So what we have here, I can see that it is 2017, 2018, 2019, 3 years data. It says core business revenue. You can call it your revenue. And then there are some, so this is your P&L account titles. So these are your names of your ledger accounts. Then these are some branch codes. So you may have different branches, like you have a branch code 105, then you have another branch code 111. So there may be two different branches who are recording their revenues or whatever. Then you have the branch name here, and then you have the amounts. So what I notice here, and probably you can also see that the revenue lines, these are the three first revenue lines, they are in negative. And these are your expenses. Expenses are in positive. It is possible sometimes the software, when you make extraction, it happens. Why it happens, that is a different case. I'll tell you that when you connect it with your database, so it is possible. So we will take care of that. It's not a worry. Then one more thing is that we have to now, what we need to do, so you see that there are so many other expenses, like you've got here leasing and then interest income coming in with different codes, okay? Because probably you are paying it to someone and you have a different code. So we need to actually accumulate all of that interest income together, whatever it is. Unfortunately, there is no number here, but in any case, maybe on another sheet, there will be numbers. And then you have got 2018, similarly the same thing. So you have two types of codes actually. One is the branch code, like probably you have different branches, and one is the account number. So your core business revenue account number is 200 111 0000, and if you see that core business revenue code, it remains same, but the branch code becomes different. So we need to assign these things as well. So we'll create some codes together. It is possible that the data which you have, it may have only one code, but in this set of data, there are two different types of codes. So when there are two different types of codes, the first thing which we need to do is that we need to join them together and create one unique code. So that we can make totals out of that. We will make totals out of that. So then we have got 2017 data as well. So the first thing which I would do from here, now I can see that the data has already been formatted. Excel sheet is also formatted, just like you see that they have removed those grid lines. I don't see that grid lines. I can see that they have been taken away. So usually it is like this, with grid lines, I have view and we can manage it. Then font size is also normal. Okay, so formatting as far as is there is not really an issue in this case. And let's start our task. What are we going to do? Okay, so I'll start with, first I want to create some unique codes here, okay? So I take this column and I say this this one, and I put an and sign, and I'll take this one. So what I'm going to do, and actually I should start with 2017 in order to make it more logical. We'll start operations with 2017. I take this code and we take this and we take this one. If you remember, we did this and function in which we joined these things. So now there is a new code has been generated, which is a combination of both of these codes. And you can just simply copy paste it down, okay? you can just copy paste it here. So we create this code here. And similarly, we already have created in 2018, we join the two codes together to create one unique code, so that we don't manage with, or we don't have to handle two different codes. So I'll take this one and function and this one. So the first thing which we do is that we created our codes. Now remember, whenever you create such type of functions or sometimes formulas, it is always better to convert it into numbers so that you can copy paste it somewhere else. If I copy paste it somewhere else, it may lose it. So what I suggest always, because we don't need formulas anymore, we just need these codes, these static codes. So it is better that you do paste special. So what you can do, you can press here, copy, and then you will come back and right click and say paste 1, 2, 3. When I say paste 1, 2, 3, it means paste as values. So now if you see that it is no more like F5 and something like C5, these are strict numbers. I mean, when you come back here, you see that these are, it shows you that it is a formula, you have taken it. So better is that you convert it into values. So I'll take it down and I'll press Control C and I will go there, paste option. It is actually paste special option 1, 2, 3. You call it paste as values. It's very important when you want numbers to remain static. And again, this is already selected. So we'll say copy and we'll come back to paste. So the first thing we have done, that we have taken our codes, we created a unique code, and we have converted them into these numbers. Now, these are the codes on which we are going to work. Now, what is happening, that there may be some codes which are duplicate. You may have duplicate codes. So what we need to do, we take all of these codes into a new sheet, okay? So I'll take these codes, like first is 2017. So I'm going to copy paste all of these codes from here to a new sheet, and let me put them here. And by the way, I'll remove these. If you remember, we said that no grid lines. We don't like grid lines. And we can put 10, font number 10. So we take the codes from 2017. Now from 2018, all of these codes, I also want them here in this sheet. So what I'm going to do, we are going to extract data on this sheet. And in order to extract data, we assigned codes to all line items so that we can accumulate all these line items into this sheet. And I come back on 2019, and again, we take our codes from here, because all of these codes are linked with some line items in revenue or expenses. So what we have here now, it's like 212 different codes. And I feel that some of these codes are being revised, like this one and this one. I can see that these are duplicates. So I need to remove the duplicates, because if we do not remove the duplicates, they will make totals again. So there are codes which have been repeated inside again and again. So we know that how to remove duplicates. So far we have got 212. And what we need to do, that we select them, we go to our data thing, and we say remove duplicate. Duplicate in column B, and we say okay. So it says 106 duplicate values found and removed, 106 unique values remain. So that 212 or 222 something, whatever it was, now it has been reduced to 106 lines. And of course, within 106 lines, we still need to do grouping, but at least we have removed the duplicates. Now what we need to do, the next thing is that we need to take this data. For example, these codes, they relate to revenue. For example, the branch code, for example, the branch name, and so on. So we want to see that this code, what is the detail in front of this thing. Is it revenue, or is it staff cost, or is it utility expenses, and what is the branch name, what is the branch code, etc. So this is our next thing which we need to do. So what we do, that we take our P&L the same title, we keep our format same, and like here, this one, I take this thing here. So these are my codes and I put them here. So I've got my branch codes, branch names, and amounts. Amounts actually I do not need here so far. I'll just remove the amount thing. Now, you should remember that there is one issue with, and we are going to use the Vlookup function. If you remember that our last lesson was Vlookup. So now what we need to do is that we need to use our Vlookup function to fill in this sheet. So now the second part is that we want to see that, let's suppose if you go back and you see that this was the code, okay? 201111, what was written in front of that? It was actually core business revenue. 20111100001111, whatever. Its title is like profit and loss account. Its ledger account is core business revenue. So we want to find out their P&L profit and loss account names. Is this utility expenses or what? Is this my revenue or what? So we need to use our Vlookup function. But one thing is with Vlookup is that Vlookup actually, it always works in the right direction. I mean, not to the left, but to the right. The issue is that these codes are on to the left side, and Vlookup is actually, it always moves in this direction. So when we have it on the left side, that probably is going to create some issue. So what we need to do, we need to move these codes to the left of that thing, okay? And how do we do that? We can just add one column here, and I'll take this one, Control X, and I shift it here, so that the codes, they come in the front of the data, so that we can use Vlookup. You actually can use this match and index function also, but that is an additional effort. We can use it very easily with Vlookup. We can just, what we need to do is, we will create one column here. We'll take these codes and we put it just on the left of that, okay? And in 2019, I'll do the same thing. I'll add one line, and I'll take this thing, which is my code, and I put it in this way. Now, now we can use this table for the Vlookup. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for that. Okay. So now what we need to do, we need to use here Vlookup. And for Vlookup, if you remember from our previous lesson, I mean, those of you, I mean, all of you have watched that video for Vlookup. What we need to do, we just need to assign the lookup value. We need to find out the array and the column number and the false thing. So I come here, I write down Vlookup, and we use this thing. It makes it visually better. So what is the lookup value? Your lookup value is this one, okay? And just you can lock it B column. Don't lock the row, just lock the column reference. And then you need to define the table array. Where are you going to take this thing, this value? So I take the table array from 2017. I start from here and I go down until here. This is my table array, okay? And let me see if I have selected, yeah. Amounts you don't need to select. We are not selecting the amounts until the branch name. And just lock it. Press this F4. By F4, you just said $B, $5 to this one. And which value are we looking for? We are looking for second column, column number 2. I mean, in this cell, this is second column, P&L. We are looking for the values from the second column, like core business revenue and other revenues. So we put here column number 2. So you put here 2. And range lookup, if you remember, we said always make the, you are making it false. If it does not find out, does not look like the nearest value, just leave it. We put it false. So if you see that, you've got this core business revenues. So in front of this in front of this code, the P&L account name was core business revenue. Now, what you can do, you can copy paste this formula here, but you will see that it will stick, it is still giving you core business revenue because it is extracting the data from column number 2. You see, we put here column number 2. So it is taking data from column number 2, and column number 2 was giving business revenue. We don't need the column number 2. We needed column number 2 here. Here we need data from the third column, which is this column, branch code. And this is the third column, 1, 2, and 3. Forget about A, because the table starts from here. So 1, 2, and 3. So I come back here, and instead of 2, I make it 3. So you get the branch code. Now, when you copy paste this data here, again, it will make the same thing because it is again giving you data from the column number 3, but now we need data from column number 4. So you see that it was the code number 200110000. It was core business revenue. The branch code was 11111, and the branch name was external. And now you can just, copy paste this data downward. You come down to the end of the table, somewhere here, and you just copy paste it. So whatever data was in 2017 in front of these codes, you have extracted it here. When you will scroll down, you will see that it says NA, error it is giving. Why it is giving error? Because this is the data from where 2018 started. Actually, until here is only 2017. So, I mean, the codes which you have taken, these codes, if you remember, these codes we took from 3 years. We said, 2017, all of the codes, then we put 2018 codes, then we put 2019 codes. So these codes, which you see, these codes actually, they belong to 2018. And in formula, we are saying 2017. I can try to do it like 2018, but it will not work. It will work, but it will give you error at some point, because the ranges are different. Although the sheet is same, but the range numbers could be different. So it is better that you write it down again, okay? But this time you will write it down with 2018. Again, your VLOOKUP function, this is the column you are looking for. And actually, if I take it with this one, it is always better. It is visual. You make this one your table array. You go to 2018 this time, take it from here and go it down until 83, whatever it is, and press F4 so that you are locking the range, and you say column reference 2, column index number 2, and here you can put your false. So now it is again core business. You take it down here, you will change again like before, make it 3, column number 3, and make it here and make it column number 4. And again, now what you can do, that you can copy paste it below. And when you will copy paste it below, again, some of the values will be left aside. Because if you pay attention that here, because these are the values which belong to 2019 codes. These codes are for 2019, and therefore it was error. Again, we will use our VLOOKUP and make it visual. VLOOKUP value is this one, and you can lock it, column, table array from 2019, select from the column and go down until here. And press F4, then you have column index number 2, and here you can put your false. Your value is done, and you copy paste it. This one you make it column number 3, and this one you make it column number 4. And now you can copy paste and your so the first thing is done. What we have done, that we took all the codes from 3 years on one single sheet, And then we have taken all the account heads, account numbers to that particular point on single one sheet. And it looks a little bit unformatted. We go back up and we say, okay, just put all of them to the right aligned. So everything is now right aligned, and we have here. Now, the next thing is it clear until here? Okay, now next thing is that we want to take the numbers, okay? If you remember, we have got 2017, we've got 2018, and we have got 2019. So these are the 3 years for which we have numbers. We want to find out now what is the data. Let me just make it underline here so that it looks, and let me call them codes, okay? And I'll put also like this. Now we are going to use our SUMIF formula. So what we need to do, we'll take SUMIF function. We want to make the values out of that to single one sheet. SUMIF. So what is your range? You have to define your range. So I go back to my 2017 here, and in 2017, this is my code range. You remember the codes? We take this range from the codes. And then what is the criteria? Criteria is for this one, the codes itself. And then you have your sum range. And sum range, you will again take from 2017 these amounts, these amounts from 2017. So this is, if you see that your core business revenue has come up here against this particular code, okay? Against this particular code. You may have your core business revenue many times appearing down as well, but in front of this code, this is the core business revenue, and it is coming as a negative number. Why it is coming a negative number? Because as we discussed earlier that it wasn't negative, so we can just multiply it with -1, so we can remove this issue of this negative range. So the same way you can do it for 2018, you can do it for 2019 as well. So what we can do, that it is better that we lock these, our, how to say, these cell references. If I come back here, and it is better that I lock these cell references here and I lock them here. Okay. Then for 2018, again, I can find out from 2018, you can use it with the same is equal to SUMIF. And take it from here. So where is your range now? Now this time your range is going to be not in 2017, but in 2018. Take 2018, take this B, press F4, you lock the range, come back to criteria. Criteria is this one, column B, and then your sum range. Sum range again from 2018, this was your column F, this was your sum range. And you put it here, it again comes as a negative number, just multiply it with -1. You get a positive number. Then you do the same, repeat the same thing for 2019. And for 2019, again, we'll take our range from 2019 sheet, column B, which is my code, press F4. I take the criteria, which is the first one, and then I come back to my sum range, and we go back in 2019 and take it from column F, and we lock it, and we are done. And you just multiply it with -1. So now your revenue is in positive. And we can just now copy paste it below and see what happens. So these are the numbers. We have extracted all of the 3 years into one sheet. Now, the thing is that if you notice that you have got R&D expenses, okay, there are no numbers for that, but if you see some other things like interest expense, interest income, these are repeating with different codes. We somehow need to add them together, okay? Similarly, you've got R&D expenses in year 2018, different. You need to add them up. interest income has been repeated. There are so many transactions, so many different codes, because expense has one code. If I pay attention, that interest income has a very static code of 208,228,000. Until here it is same, but then there are different type of interest income from different branches, and therefore the code has changed. In my final profit and loss, I cannot show all of them separately. I need to group them together. Okay, all of the interest income should be added. Now this is the big challenge which we have to face. What we have already done, we have taken all of the data from 3 sheets into one, here what you call one sheet. By the way, there is a method of checking it as well. Let me make a total of all of that. Let me see how much total it gives me. It gives me some 58082. Yeah, because there is something. Let me tell you. See here, I come back to the thing which is called data. Let's check if we are doing it right or wrong. Okay, so let me add filters. These are my P&L account names. And within P&L account names, we have got here net income. Where is the net income? Okay, let me type it. So this is net income. Actually, what is net income? Your trial balance has already calculated the net income. It has already calculated the profit, because I said that this data has been taken from the software, and profit and loss is a T account. You know from accounting that your profit and loss is a T account. So net income is also part of that. So net income is what? Net income is income minus expenses. Okay, income minus expenses is equal to net income. So if I just change their signs, right now it is also multiplied with -1. Okay, let me see it here. Let me remove this negative sign from here, because it was also multiplied, and then I will show you what will happen. Just removing these minus signs. I'm not going to use this net income in my P&L. Okay, when we will prepare our P&L, we will not use these numbers. These are within the trial balance, but we are not going to use it, because we are going to calculate these numbers by ourselves in our own format. Your accounting software has already calculated the profit, okay, which is in this line. So we don't need it actually. This is not an income or expense. This is the net result. This is the outcome, sum total of all income and expenses. It is already within there. So now if we take all of them, and if I make a total, if you see that what is happening here, let me make it down. You see total is 0, sum is 0. If you pay attention here, it says sum is 0. Because what I did, I just changed their signs. So net income minus net income plus, it makes it 0. It means that we have taken all the data inside. If there had been any number like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, I would understand that we missed some number. So I just took away the effect of net income, and now it is giving me 0. So it is actually a kind of a proof that whatever data extraction we did, it is correct. So until here we are done. The next step is that we need to, find out or categorize these things into one thing, because there are many items: corporate recharges, service expenses. Service expenses are being repeated again and again and again. So we need to organize them so that we can populate them into our final income statement. Okay, now the next thing is that, yeah, I'm listening. Okay, so we just spotted out that this is, because I told you before that I just got this data sheet from somewhere, and I see that there is some big mistake in this data sheet, because I thought that they are putting revenues in negative. I noticed this thing. I know that sometimes it is possible that when you extract data, signs are changed, and I saw that this is a cost. which is wages and salaries, it is in positive. So I thought that by default, the extraction process has changed the plus minus. Revenues, it has converted to minus, and cost, it has converted to plus. I see it, it's an issue, but it's not difficult. When we converted it here, we just multiply with -1. If you pay attention on the top, we multiply with -1 so that revenues become positive and cost, they become negative. But the mistake which I'm seeing, that here this cost is also negative. If this cost is positive, if by default you are assuming that all costs should be positive, then this should also be positive. Maintenance cost. Now we have got two options, because I cannot change this data here. I can change the data, I can multiply it with I can remove its signs and make it into plus or minus, whatever is needed. But then before that, I need to go back and check into the system. Why in the system it is showing as an opposite sign? Because it is a cost, but it is showing it as an income in this particular case, because income has a negative sign, it also has a negative sign. So I suggest that we leave it here. We can actually anytime come back and make changes here. Whatever changes we'll make, it will be reflected automatically there. So let's keep our model doing. We see how it is done, and we don't debate on the integrity of the numbers, because then there will be a lot of other confusions as well. Because I see that there are some other numbers also cost, not only the maintenance cost, but the marketing cost also. I see it was also shown as a negative number, whereas it should have been positive. You see, marketing is correct. They put it as, you see, incomes are negative. All incomes are negative. This is corporate recharges, other income is negative. Software IT expense, positive. Positive means that according to the database, they are going opposite. So only problem is with maintenance cost. Let's ignore it for a while and we continue our work, okay? So anyways, we come back to our sheet. We have taken the data from 2017 and 18 and 19. We already know that there is some problem with the maintenance cost. We will see it later on. And then if we find out, you can call your accounting department to confirm the numbers. If there is any change, you will just make the change here, and that change will ultimately be reflected everywhere. So now what we need to do here is that there are many different type of lines. How many lines do you have? You've got 106 lines, you see, 106 lines. Your income statement can never be 106 lines. When you prepare your income statement, you group expenses together, like salaries, for example, rent expense, electricity, utilities, and office maintenance, all of them together, you put them into one category called administrative expenses. So let's start grouping them together, so that in income statement, this travel expenses and insurance expenses together, and service expenses, we call them administrative expenses. We have to categorize them, okay? So we will use our filters for this purpose. I'll select expenses. For example, let's see what could go into administrative expenses. If I think that this is my consulting fee, I can put it in my admin expenses. Consulting, I will put in other expenses. Actually, what you should, before you start do this process, you should think about your income statement structure, that what type of income statement format you will have. So let me first decide on my income statement, what I want to have in my income statement. I need to have my revenue. I need to have cost of sales. It gives me gross profit. Then I want to put my admin expenses. I want to show my salaries expenses. Then we call it other expenses. Only 3 categories of expenses, okay? And then you have your interest income. And by the way, after gross profit, you have your other income as well. So this is generally the format: interest income, and here you call it PBIT. Then you have your interest expenses, then you have your profit before tax. So this is the type of income statement format which you want your final output. So based on your whatever is your criteria, official requirement, that how, what type of or what is the format of income statement. So I need cost of sales, other in admin expenses, salaries, and not salaries, actually you call it staff cost, because salaries are salaries. Within staff cost you can group many, like staff salaries, staff insurance, staff taxes, all of them together, probably food expenses and staff transportation. You put all of that in staff cost, and whatever is left you put it in other expenses. So these are the categories I'm looking at. Okay, so I come back here and let's put these categories together. So this is my consulting, I will put it in other expenses. So right now I'm looking for administrative expenses. So admin is utility charges, traveling, software, service expenses, repair and maintenance. Then I have my reimbursement and compensation. R&D I will put in admin expenses. If you want to show separately, you show separately. Then you have your, what other operative currency differences, other income. So this is a little bit time taking thing, but you need to miscellaneous goes to other. So that's all. So these are expenses, and let me call it like, my categories, and I call it categories of different expenses. So these expenses, all of them, we said that they are going to go into admin expenses. So I take it here and we just make copy paste. So we are using our filters. So one category admin is gone. Second is your staff cost. So in staff cost, your wages and salaries. After wages and salaries, we have here, I saw a few other things as well. Pension contributions, other personnel expenses. These all are staff cost. I think these were the only ones. I just noticed them. Okay, so just 2 of them, 4 of them. We call them staff cost. So we take this one as well. It is a little bit time taking thing, but you have to do it. Now we do other expenses. Okay, I see here taxes as well. Let's do taxes also. Current tax, then you have your deferred tax. I put them, all of them together. You can separate them as well. And you have your tax expense, some other as well. I saw them. I don't know, do we have some other tax expenses? No. Okay, that's all. If there is something, we can do it later on as well. Now we do for other expenses. So concession fee, other expenses, consulting, other expenses. Then you have your difference from elimination, other expenses. Freight outbound, this is outward. If it has been freight inward, I would have added into cost of sales. Then impairment of participation, other. Then I have my legal expenses, other. Legal I don't want to put in admin, because admin is something which is stable, which is every month. Legal is not every month, so I put it as separately. Otherwise my admin expenses are, they become very uneven. One month it is 1 million, another month it is 2 million. So usually in admin expenses you should put your regular expenses. Something which is extraordinary, you put it separately. Okay, so these are my other expenses. So we just copy paste it here, and then we see whatever is left. I think we had some interest income. So interest income. Okay, so what is it? These are my interest income. It's not difficult, but it requires a little bit of patience. And by the way, we are not left a lot. We'll do it very fast. I'll pick up all of them. So now these are left blank. We can fill them manually. Let's see them one by one. So what is this one? It is core business revenue. I put it as revenue. It goes to my first line. And let me just freeze the panes here so that I can manage it fast. Okay. So other revenues, we put it as other revenues. Other income, we call it usually. And maintenance cost, I put it in admin, and this is admin. Direct cost is my cost of sales. And then you have your severance indemnity contribution. This is your staff cost, okay? Depreciation, you can give it a name, DNA. You can call it DNA. Depreciation and amortization, you want to show it separately. It is possible you want to show it also with an admin expense. If you want to show depreciation with an admin, just call it admin. Now it will go into admin expense. Okay, we are showing it separately. Then corporate recharges, these are other income. So you are taking it from your branches, corporate recharges, and I take all of them together. This is also other income. Marketing expenses, admin. You may decide to do it, and this is leasing is admin also, and service and charges and contribution. Now I don't know the name, so let's call it other expenses. Okay. Insurance is also admin. It is not a fixed rule. It depends on your company policy that where do you put which expenses. Okay. There is no hard and fast rule for that. Capitalized interest, it is interest income. This is for sure. Non-recurring cost, other expenses. Interest expense, of course, it is interest expense. So tax expense, then you have regional taxes, tax expense, net income, forget about net income. Core business revenue is your revenue. Maintenance cost is admin. And you are almost done. Depreciation is admin. Gain from disposal, other income. Corporate recharges, other income. So I'll just copy paste corporate recharges, other income. Concession fees, service expenses, insurance expenses, admin. Losses for disposal, it also goes to other income, but in the negative format. Other expenses. And property taxes and taxes, and interest expense is interest expense. Just bear with me, we are almost done. Yeah, just few of them. Quarterly changes in current taxes, what is that? Quarterly changes in current, yeah, tax. Net income, forget about net income, we are not going to use the net income thing. Okay, so net income, I'm not going to assign anything. Operating expenses for utilities, admin. Other operative currency differences. So because you have different branches, so these branches sometimes are using different names. Okay, because in some branches they in their system they call it utilities, sometimes they call it communal, sometimes they call it gas, electricity. So you just have to categorize them. Otherwise, other income, again, it is other income. And this much of effort is done by your chief accountant every month, because he knows that and offset technical thing, other expenses. So you are done with that. This was a very important exercise because these are the categories from which we are going to group all of them. What was this? I just forget about. Okay, this is other net income. I just forget about it. We are not going to use it in any case. So if you have any question until here, you ask me. Otherwise, we are ready to, go and make our P&L.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this sheet we call it our data sheet because everything is here now. So what we have on this data sheet, we've got all the accounting codes. We've got the profit and loss, our P&L ledgers. We've got the branch codes, branch names, whatever. And we've got numbers for the 3 years, 2017, 18, and 19, and we got our categories. Now what we need to do, this was something which we said that we want to make our format for income statement, okay? I can just remove it. I don't need it for the moment. I go back to the data sheet and take all of these expenses, whatever we made the categories, okay? Because we want, I would suggest you to make copy paste, because sometime if spelling mistakes are wrong, your system will not pick up the data, because we are going to use sum a function, and we have to use the exact names. So if you say admin expense or admin expenses, it will not pick up. So I'll take it here. I put them all. And now if you see, there are so many of admin expenses, okay? So many of admin expenses. What we need to do, we need to remove the duplicates. Go to the data and you say remove duplicates. I just want everything one time. So this is my income statement lines. Now, what format do I need? I will say this revenue, I'll put it here as first line. Then I have my cost of sales. We put it here and we call it gross profit will appear after. Then you have other income. Where is other income? So other income appears after the gross profit. Then you have your admin expenses. And by the way, I always take staff cost above, because in my businesses before I had huge staff cost. I want to show it separately. And then I have my other expenses. And this is what I call it PBIT, okay? And after PBIT, you have, by the way, before PBIT, you have your interest income also. So you take interest income here, then you call it PBIT, then you profit before interest and taxes, then you subtract your interest expense, you call it profit before tax. And then you subtract your tax expense and you call it your profit after tax, okay? So this is done. Now what we can do, we can work on the format. Page layout, just remove your grid lines, take the format font. If you remember, we have been using number 11. I can drop it little bit down. I can say, profit and loss statement, or whatever you call it, income statement for for ABC company. And you are done with that. And then what you need to do, you need to put here your 2017, 2018, and 2019 data. Okay, and like this. And we can always, if we have been using our blue colors, you can underline it. Few of the lines we want to make bold. Gross profit we usually make bold. And by the way, not only this, all of that we make bold. Then PBIT is a line we want to make bold. Then profit after tax is the line we want to make bold. And we also want to have an underline after this thing. Just make a format and underline, or PBIT you can, you have to line on the top, and this one like this. And in gross profit, where the numbers come in from, the numbers will be these two, okay? You will add them. We already have put our plus minus things in, how to say, revenues are plus, costs are minus. So I will just simply plus. So I'll take it plus, okay? And then this will be the sum total of these lines, these cells, okay? So I'll just make it here. And then profit before tax, actually, it is also a line. So this one, profit before tax, is also a sum total of these two things. And you make a total for that. And then this is a sum total of these two things. And you can make it like this. So your format is done. Now you just need to take numbers from here. And how do you do that? Now that's a second part of your activity. How do you take the numbers from your master sheet? From your data sheet, you have to take the numbers. So we use our SUMIF function, again SUMIF, and we have to take the range. So the range will start from your data sheet. If you remember, these were your categories, okay? So take these categories. These are the categories, and please put your F4 so that you lock it, because you don't want to move it left, right. Criteria is your revenue, and you can just lock the column. You need it or don't need it, actually, you can do it without locking reference as well. And then the sum range will come from where? The sum range will come from datasheet 2017. So I picked up this one, the categories from here, like interest income, pick up all the interest income from this column. Or I put the revenue, first line B5, so all the revenues from here. So this is what we get here. 1450034, whatever. And let me just make it like this. So because we have proper, I think that we can copy paste this data because we locked the references properly. So you can actually just copy paste these numbers, okay? It is so interesting. It is done. Your P&L is done. That's all. 3-year P&L is done. Nothing. You want to see it again? I come back. I just did one thing. I just put the formula in one place. Here. We just need to put formula, and rest is the Excel will do it for you. I'm repeating it again. SUMIF formula. And in SUMIF formula, what I need to do, they say the range. What is the range? So in range, I come back to the data sheet, and these categories which we carefully decided, we said these categories we are looking at, and we lock this range. And he said, within this categories, what are you looking at? And I say, I'm looking at revenue. And I just column B, I locked. Row number 5, I'm not locking because for cost of sale also I need to do. So I'm just locking the column B, not the row 5. And then the sum range, where the sum range you want to take. In datasheet, I want to take sum range from 2017. And I do not lock the reference because I want to move forward for 218 and 219. If I lock it, then it will not move forward. So I leave the cell references open. It is done. The rest is like, you just need to make a copy paste here, okay? So because we properly made the formula, so now we just are making our copy paste here. And if we want to see our income statement, let's clean the numbers a little bit like this, okay? So this is your income statement done. Now, if you want to check if these profits are correct or not, okay? If you want to check these profits are correct or not, we go back to our data sheet, and we remember here there was something called net income, okay? Because we calculated net income according to our model. So this is the net income. According to the data sheet, the net income was 2904. In our Excel sheet, it is also 2904. In data sheet, it was here. It was actually so because they put actually it was negatives. If you remember that I multiplied them with minus. I removed those minus ones, so I need to go back to -1 thing. Okay, so let me allow it, because while making a test, when I was saying that sum total is 0, if you remember that I removed them. So this was the situation. This is the actual situation, that in sheet 1, 2904 profit, 2904 profit. In 2018, it is 6 million loss. It is 6 million loss. In 2019, 779 profit, it is giving 779 profit. You want to check it individually, because this is what I produced, but this is what I was given from 2017. Okay, so if I go back here and I put filter, and let's see that what was the net income according to the raw data. Okay, the raw data as it was given to us, it was showing it 2904, and we are also doing it 2904. So we just extracted all of these three sheets into one data. So this was actually a trial balance. This was a trial balance which was given to us. And we took the data from there. Your model is ready. Now, there was only one question about that maintenance cost, should it be positive or should it be negative? I will not indulge with that at the moment. I would call the accountant who gave me this data, and I will say, okay, your data tells me, because this is the data I was provided, that revenue is in negative and the cost is also in negative. They both cannot have the same sign. I mean, maintenance cost has this sign. I did not manipulate it with the data. Whatever they have given us, based on that, I produced. If this number it is wrong, I will ask the person who extracted the data, go to the system and check it, what the system shows. We spotted out some mistake. It is always there. I mean, that's why you have correction of errors and adjustments and reconciliations, because we always find out some kind of errors. So our model is done. Now there could be some technical error at the time of extraction. We will find out. And when you will change the number here, it will automatically change the model there, because everything is linked up. So if I make it 0, if I say, okay, he says, oh, it is not 793 negative, it is 793 positive, I'll just make it positive and the final impact will be shown there. So you are done with this. I mean, it may look a little bit tricky because it involves several different steps, but if you watch the video 2 times or 3 times, it should not be difficult. It's a very routine thing.